opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
And hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Thursday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Brought to you, as always, by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. I'm going to go ahead and put them in the top right-hand corner of the screen so you know where to go if you're in the market for a new or used vehicle. Oops, clicked on the wrong thing. It is going to be Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown right there. And they go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show and on YSN every single day. We're going to have a good show for you today. We have recaps to go over. We had Class B baseball last night. Championship series continues in 18U. And we'll talk about Game 2, what went down in Game 2 of the championship series. We also have to preview the softball Little League State Tournament that's going down in Boardman tonight, starting tonight, I should say, all the way through Monday. Myself and DJ Oakley will tandem the coverage of that. So we have Little League softball going on from tonight to Monday. We'll preview that. And then also tonight through the weekend, we have the sophomore NABF World Series going on at Bob Scene Park. Matt Marr and Tim Corso will both be on the call tonight for that. So a lot of fun stuff coming up on the network. We'll talk about all of that as well on today's show. And then we have another segment of our brand new series that we're rolling out for the rest of the summer called Living the Dream. If you're joining us today for the first time or missed Monday show, Living the Dream is a segment that we're going to be sporadically putting out throughout the rest of the summer until we get into the coverage of our fall sports here on YSN. It's a softball segment about players that have already gotten to where our players here on YSN want to go. So it's going to be a resource for everyone out there in the YSN family that's trying to live their dreams in the softball world, trying to get to college, trying to be the best softball player they can be. You can hear from people that have done it, that have gotten there, that have gotten to the place where they wanted to go when they were in your shoes, and kind of how they did it, what their journey looked like, and take the cues and the advices that they give in these interviews. Today we continue that segment with Georgia Tech's own Mallory Black. Mallory was 15th in the nation in home runs with 19 of them this year in her senior season. Had a huge year, was named a bunch of postseason accolades, and really cool interview. Can't wait for you guys to hear it on today's show, which will be going down here pretty soon. But first, before we get to that, we do have to go into the recaps of Class B baseball. Going to bring the Class B website up on the screen for you so you can look at what I'm looking at. Championship series in 18U. It looked like this in Game 2. The 1 seed 3B Barons, wow, are they proving that they deserve to be the 1 seed? 9-0, they get the win over Athletics. That means in 2 games, they've outscored the Athletics 19-0. They have not allowed a hit yet in this championship series, and this is the same Athletics offense that scored 18 runs on the 2-seed Astro Falcons in Game 3 of the semifinals to get themselves to this point. to get themselves to the championship series. But the Barons have silenced that offense so far in the first two games. They have taken a commanding lead in the series 2-0. When you look at the offensive breakdown, the Barons scored 1 in the first. It was quiet until the fourth, where the Barons scored 2 more in the fourth, 2 more in the fifth, and then 4 more in the sixth. So that fourth inning just started kind of an avalanche of runs for the 3B Barons. And yes, pun intended, because the Avalanche are one of the teams in Class B baseball. 9 runs on 12 hits, 2 errors for the Barons. No runs on just 4 hits for Athletics. They committed 3 errors. We'll look at the offense for the 3B Barons and what drove them to victory. They had 2 hitters with pair of RBIs and a pair of hits. Aiden Leindecker, man, the kid just keeps showing up big time in all the big situations. He's had a heck of a summer and a heck of a career in Class B baseball. We say that every time we bring up his name, but man, his name's coming up a lot. What can you do? He went 2 for 4 with a run scored, 2 RBI. You also had Ryan Pikatowski with a 2 for 4 day with 2 RBIs for himself. So both hitters with identical numbers right down to the runs scored, both going 2 for 4, both hitting two runs in, and both scoring 1 apiece. You had an RBI on a hitless day from Hunter Triano. Situational hitting. We've said it all summer. What's it going to be like? What do you do when you come up and have to do a job? It's not necessarily get a hit, but it's get a run in. And these Class B hitters all summer, every team have been really good at that. We've seen a lot of RBIs come with hitless days, which tells you they're going up there, they're doing their job when they have to in situational moments. And then last but not least, we have Brady McGuire with the RBI. He went 1 for 3 with 1 run scored. That's 6 RBI out of the 9 runs scored for the Barons. Some other hitters that had a good day. You look at Nick Parado, who went 1 for 2 with a run scored on the day. He also had 2 walks, the only hitter with 2 walks in the lineup. And then a 2-hit day for Nate Thomas. He went 2 for 3 with a walk and a run scored. 3 runs scored on a 3 for 4 day. Look at that from Tommy Caroli. And talk about setting up the table, getting on base so other people can come and knock you in. And what's interesting is he's in the lineup after the 2 hitters that had 2 RBI. So other people came up and knocked him in. Parado got the win on the mound. He went 5 innings, gave up 4 hits, no runs, struck out 2 and walked 2. So a lot of things being put in play. Obviously, with only 4 hits on the day. 2 of those hits for Athletics came from CJ Frasco. He went 2 for 3. You had Dom Zatello going 1 for 3. And then the final hit of the day came from Logan Cipher, who went 1 for 3. CJ Frasco took the loss on the mound. He went 5 innings, gave up 5 earned runs, 10 hits, struck out 4. Evan Tice had an inning in relief. He gave up 4 runs, but none of them were earned. That's a tough one. 2 hits total, did walk 1. So that's kind of the breakdown of game 2. And I'm just so impressed with the Barons and what they've been able to do this summer. They trailed for most of the summer in the standings. They were 2 most of the way. And then with like 2 weeks left in the summer regular season, they got a big win over the Astro Falcons where they came back from a 5-0 deficit, 1-6-5. That put them in position. They weren't in front yet after that win, but that put them in the position to be a game back. And then the Astro Falcons had a couple of games where they struggled. They lost to Ballistics right before the All-Star game that we had at Scene Park. The game before that, they lost to Ballistic. They also lost to Dura Edge down the stretch. It opened the door for the Barons to just get hot at the right time, take the 1 seed, and they're just rolling so far in the playoffs. They swept Creekside in the semifinals, and they've outscored the Athletics 19-0 in 2 games here in the championship series. Now, game 3 is going to be a little bit of a break in between. We go look at the schedule, and we'll see that because of the 14U NABF World Series being in action tonight and tomorrow night at Bob Seam Park, they have to give Saturday game 3 because there's going to be more time to get a lot of games in on Saturday, of course. So the 3B Barrington Athletics, they will continue that championship series on Saturday. That's going to be a 7 o'clock game on Scene 1. I also want to remind everyone that if you're a fan of one of these two teams, our ace photographer, Gary Leininger, was in the ballpark last night taking pictures of both the Barons and the Athletics. The link to those pictures for purchase on our Smug Mug can be found on the recap of that game. So if you go to ysnlive.com, you find the story, you scroll to the bottom of it, there's a link there that will take you right to our Smug Mug where pictures from last Smug Mug. So make sure to go over there, check out the awesome work of Gary Leininger. Our website, if you ever go to it and go, wow, this looks really good, Gary Leininger is a big reason why that website looks so good, because it's his pictures that pull the heavy lifting in and all that. Him and the other photographers that we have good relationships with across the area, Mahoning Valley Sports and Charles Marsh, of course, he helps out a ton. Want to give a shout out to Colin Chadwick, who takes a lot of pictures for Lakeview Athletics, and his pictures are great. Phoenix Photography, shout out to them. They have great pictures that they let us use. A bunch of photographers that we have relationships with, but Gary Leininger is the one on staff that we say is our ace photographer, our director of photography, and he has most of those pictures up on ysnlive.com, especially in the summer where he's out there putting in the work covering the Little League baseball and softball brackets. He's out there covering Class B baseball. I believe he got to all but one Class B team in 16 and 18U combined. So he put in the real work at Scene Park this summer, making sure that all those teams had pictures for their stories. And we thank him for his time and effort getting put in to that. Once again, pictures from last night's game 2 in the championship series of the 18U. Class B championship series will be found on our Smug Mug. Now, we have to preview what we got going on tonight. We have the Little League State Tournament going on at Field of Dreams. This is the first time since YSN started covering Little League baseball and softball that the state tournament has been hosted by Boardman. So we get the chance to cover almost every game. We're going to miss the 10U games tonight, unfortunately. We just ran out of announcers for tonight, but Friday through Monday, we will be at every game from that point on. DJ Oakley will be down there tonight for the 12U matchups. But let's start with the 10U. Let's see what's going on at 3 o'clock at the Field of Dreams. We will have a matchup between, let me pull it up real quick. We'll have a matchup between Talmadge and Canfield Little League at 3. That's going to be on field S1. And then also, and this will be a little one line up in the bracket. So those ones, Canfield and Talmadge are the only ones that are kind of pushed back around. Everyone else is kind of waiting for the winners of those games. So you could argue that these two teams, I think it's a draw, got a little bit of a shaft in the sense that they have to play one extra game than District 11, which is waiting for the winner. I think District 11 is a team have to win 3 game championship. And District 11 is Wheelersburg, which, shocker there. Wheelersburg, a team that we've always seen in the state tournament. They have a good Little League program. I'm not shocked at all. But they're sitting there as District 11. They will play it tomorrow in day 2. But Canfield versus Talmadge tonight in game 1 of the 10U series. And then also in game 2 at 5 o'clock on S1, we will have District 9 versus District 6. which is going to be the Olentangy Little League against West Side Little League. That game will go on tonight at 5 o'clock in 10U. But when we talk about Canfield, that's why, that's what we're here for. Canfield is our team where we're rooting for them, but we will cover all the games, by the way. We're not just covering our local teams. We'll be there for every minute of the state tournament action. But Canfield winning the district tournament by coming back out of the losers bracket. Their backs were against the wall that whole week. They lost their first game. Came all the way back. They lost to Howland in the first game of the tournament. They came back. They beat Howland in the losers bracket championship. They had a matchup with Austintown, and Austintown just needed one win, right? It was one of those double elimination situations. Canfield 10U comes up, wins on Monday, gets a lot of excitement, 5-0. They get a shutout performance from Lily Barber, who struck out 12, didn't give up a hit in 5 innings, and then was relieved. They come in the next day with all the momentum in the world. They win again over Austintown 3-1. They hold Austintown to 1 run in 2 games. Austintown, the team that won their way through the winners bracket, remember. So they get them to score just 1 run in 2 games. They win both. They move on to state. And I'm very excited to see what Canfield can do in this state tournament. You could call them the underdogs because they kind of scratched by in the district. They lost their first game. They had to battle back. They found their breaks. But I'll tell you what, pitching wins these kind of games, right? Pitching always wins in the big moments. Good pitching beats good hitting every time. If you're out there hitting your spots, you're going to have a good day. And Lily Barber from Canfield, if she pitches the way she did against Austintown in both her appearances, she came in relief in the championship game 2, the if necessary game, and then pitched wonderfully in the first championship game against Austintown. If she pitches like that, like, you're gonna have a chance to win every time out. That's just the end all be all. You're gonna have a chance to win every time if Lily Barber pitches the way she did in those 2 games. She was hitting her spots. She was going outside, inside, mixing speeds a little bit, which I love to see from 10U. A lot of people think you have to have a changeup to mix speeds, but that's not the case. If you have a fastball, you can just kind of mix your fastball speeds. You don't have to learn how to throw a changeup immediately and say that's the only way I can mix speeds and keep people off balance. Lily looked like she was throwing, like, I don't know, maybe mid 40s in her highest fastball, but she also had fastballs that would lose a little bit of miles per hour and change the speeds a little bit and get these hitters really off target. They were popping up a lot because they were way out in front of things. It was really fun to see her kind of carve up the lineup the way she did. I think she's a really good pitcher, developing well as a 10-year-old, does all the things that you want at that age. I also think that's a testament to how she's coached. Sean Barber is the head coach, her dad. And I think the way she's coached is really good because we see a lot nowadays, especially with that age, when you're getting to 10, 11, 12, that kind of age group, because you see it a lot on TV and it's right in your face with softball. We see so many pitching coaches try to just put too much on a pitcher at that point. Rise ball should not be learned when you're 10 years old, unless you're a freak of nature, right? You should not be learning a rise ball until you get that velocity, at least in my opinion, in like the mid 50s. Once you're in the mid 50s, if you want to put in a rise ball, you can. You have the velo, that's fine. Amelia Hamley is a great example. She has the velocity. She's throwing in the like mid to high 50s as a 12-year-old in the upper division. She can throw a rise ball, and I believe she does. But I see too many 10-year-olds trying to learn it, and it's like, you're not there yet. You don't rush these things. Don't put too many pitches on these kids. Just have them master a couple first, and then you have to progress these pitches. And I think when I see what she has going for her at 10 years old, I think she's hit all the checkpoints that you have to hit at the right times. So they're not overdeveloping her as a pitcher, and I think that's also going to be a reason why she's going to have a bright future. So I'm excited to see what Canfield can do in the 10U district. I will have the coverage of that tomorrow. Once again, apologies that we can't get 10U covered tonight. Just couldn't get there for myself. And we have a couple of announcers that are doing NABF as well. So we just couldn't find another body to put down there for 10U and 12U. We will have the coverage of the 12U games tonight. And then, like I said, after tonight, Friday through Monday, we will have coverage of the entire state tournament, 10U and 12U. Me and DJ will be tag teaming that. When we talk about 12U, though, which will be on the network tonight, Austintown is in it. They won their district championship fairly easily last week at the Field of Dreams, and they'll be back there again this week for the states. Remember, they won state last year, they won regionals last year, and they went all the way to Greenville for the Little League World Series, so they're trying to make a repeat trip back. The games tonight, game one, which DJ Oakley will have covered at 5 o'clock, will be between, I should say, Hamilton and West Side. They're listed as Big Walnut on the sheet, but they're Hamilton. Hamilton against West Side Little League, District 6 versus District 9. That'll be at 5 o'clock. And then at 7 o'clock, it'll be Austintown having their first taste of the state tournament. They're going to be playing Rock Hill National Little League. That one will be at 7 o'clock on S2. So that's going to be a fun day of games. DJ Oakley will have them both. When we talk about this Austintown 12U team, a lot of the players are back from last year's team that went all the way to the Little League World Series. And the most important player that's back, of course, is Mila Hamley in the circle, who does a lot of amazing things for Austintown. But then I think what the players that kind of go under the radar, you have Gracie Fondo, who is a really good hitter, and you have Gianna Hoops, who comes up in big spots. Annabelle Mikesell, who, at least for the district tournament, was their leadoff hitter. She did a lot of great things. She led off both games with extra base hits. It's just going to be a fun time for Austintown, and if they don't get ahead of themselves and think about regionals before they get there, they're the favorites in this state, and it's not really close when you're ranking the teams. I think Austintown has the path in front of them to make a big run and go to regionals again. Everything is there. The only thing that can beat them, in my opinion, is themselves, which is definitely possible. You never want to take anything for granted because you got to remember these kids are 12 years old. You don't know how they're going to react to situations. But at the same time, they're geared up. Everything's right there, right in front of them. And the blinders are on, right? And they're just going to try to go right through the state tournament like they did last year into regionals. And then it gets into a battle. Regionals is a battle to try to get to the Little League World Series. So they want to try to do this, expending as little energy as possible. I think that's the goal for Austintown 12U. Try to get through this state. Try to get a couple of run rule wins if you can. Try to get out of there as quick as possible in as little games as possible. Remember, if you go undefeated, you lose a game that you have to play. Right? Losers bracket teams to get to the championship have to play one more game. So if you win your way to the championship, you don't have to play that extra game. You just get the 3. So Austintown's going to try to do that again this year. Never get out of the winner's bracket and get the win in the state championship. The state championships will be on Monday for both 10U and 12U. 10U starts at 10 a.m. The if necessary game would be right after, and then the 12U starts at 2. And the same deal. I will be there for that as well. So once again, Little League softball state tournament coverage starts tonight at the Field of Dreams. ysnlive.com/live is where you can find all the action. We'll also have NABF tonight, 14U, the sophomore division of the NABF World Series. Matt Marr and Tim Corso going to be tag teaming the coverage down there. And the games tonight will be Sting Elite versus Creekside on Scene 1. Tim Corso will have that at 5:30. Also at 5:30 on Scene 2, Matt Marr will have the Brooklyn Sluggers against Impact. Tim Corso at 8 o'clock on Scene 1 will have the Troy Bombers against the Astro Falcons. We'll also have video-only coverage from Scene 3. That'll be the Ballistic against Diamond Boy Showcase at 5:30 on Scene 3. And then at 8 o'clock on Scene 3, Ballistic back in action against the DNA Raiders. So That's all the action in the NABF tonight. We have that whole park blanketed scene 1 through 3 tonight in the NABF action. So make sure to check that out as well. Once again, ysnlive.com/live. We are going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have the next segment of Living the Dream with Mallory Black. That's next on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show and this network every single day. Without further ado, we are going to continue our summer segment of Living the Dream. And this is where we talk to softball players who have gotten to where they want to be, where our softball players here in the YSN family want to go. And they can have a resource in these interviews, take some notes on their journey, have some advice, and know how they got to where they want to go. So what a great segment this is. We've had a lot of success with the first one we did with Kelly Torres from Duke, and now we go from that and we go from the same conference, Duke, and one of their ACC rivals, Georgia Tech, and it is Mallory Black sharing her softball journey here on the next segment of Living the Dream. I hope you enjoy it. Anthony Herwig here with a very special guest on our edition of what we're calling Living the Dream that we're putting on Running Point every day for the rest of the summer. And we're joined by Mallory Black, Georgia Tech alum now, and just finished her senior season and had a great career at Georgia Tech and lived the dream of a D1 Power 5 athlete for her whole career as a Yellow Jacket. Mallory, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
You got it. And one of the things we want to do first, we want to make you reflect a little bit. We're going to dig deep in the memory bank a little bit. Go back to the start of your softball journey. What are some of your first kind of memories with the sport of softball, picking it up and learning the game?
Yeah, so I had an older sister who was 4 years older than me, and she played first. So I think I saw her and Dad playing in the yard all the time, and I was like, this looks so fun. I would love to do this as well and join. So that's how it all got started, and I fell in love with it immediately.
When did you kind of make the transition of softball is fun, this is something I like to do, to softball is something I want to pursue and work really hard at and get to where you got?
Yeah, so I think that transition came when I was around 13, 14 and starting to play in showcases. So I left my Georgia Force softball team and joined the East Cobb Bullets organization. And that really helped me get exposure and find coaches who are going to help me get to the next level. So
when you make that decision to go from a local travel team to the one that's going to all these showcases and you're going to get on the big coach's radar, from a kid, what's that like? We have a couple of students up here in our region that are doing the same thing. What's it like to kind of go from, your little tiny pond in the local travel world to all of a sudden you're playing in the biggest travel organizations and the biggest, events and showcases in the country?
Yeah, I think it's just something you have to get used to at first. It can be a little intimidating at first. Something I always did when I would go to showcases and there would be coaches there, I would just pretend that everyone was there to watch me. And it was really just my time to put on the best show I could and trust in my training and just have a lot of fun and think every coach is here to watch me. So I'm ready to show out. And that's the attitude you kind of have to have.
When you reflect on your high school years and playing in high school and being able to be a high school athlete, and what kind of things were special to you about being able to go from, the travel and all the pressure that comes with the travel ball to, high school and just having fun with your classmates and representing your community in your school?
Yeah, it was so fun. I loved high school ball. I loved being able to play in front of a home crowd where it was definitely different than travel, where everyone knows you a little bit more on a personal level who's coming to watch and that you're playing with, which I loved, and kind of just getting to let loose with girls I've been playing with my whole life and representing my high school because I loved my high school. So I love that aspect of it. It was like a little glimpse into what college ball could be like, I felt like.
When you talk about your recruiting process as a high school student, what we always ask our athletes here how they balance trying to be a student athlete in high school, trying to have a high school social life, and also the stress that comes with trying to be recruited. What was it like for you? What was your kind of recruiting process like, and what was your story?
It was a little different, I think, then than now, where I was going on visits when I was 14, not 17. So I was just a freshman in high school. I didn't even know, I knew kind of I wanted to play in college, but I hadn't made that total decision. And I think it just was kind of an alignment in the stars whenever Coach Morales got hired to Georgia Tech. And I had went on a visit to Tech prior to Coach coming, but I didn't feel it yet. And then when Coach Morales came and had me on another visit, I always grew up a Tech fan, so I could always see myself going there kind of. But I think I had that feeling of, okay, this is now where I really want to be. And so I think everyone just has to experience that on their own. And when you know, you'll know. So, yeah.
Some people fall in love with the campus. Some people meet the coaching staff and they instantly know this is who I want to play for. Some people, fall in love with the team they meet on those visits. What was it for you? You said Coach Morales got hired and then it started to click that Tech wanted to be where you wanted to be. Mm-hmm. So what was it about Coach Morales that kind of tipped those scales and made you decide that Tech wanted to be your home?
Yeah, I definitely felt a vibe from Coach that she was going to be a tough coach, but she was going to be a caring individual for me because Georgia Tech is like a hard school. You're going to have a lot of hardships with classes and scheduling and all of those sorts of things. But I also love Tech because it was close to home. I was only going to be 45 minutes from my hometown, so that was important to me as well. But I just got this feeling when Coach got hired that it was for a reason and that, I don't know, I could see myself playing for her immediately.
When did you make your commitment to Georgia Tech? What year of high school?
It was the summer after my freshman year going into my sophomore year.
So what was the rest of your high school journey like when you went from not knowing where you were going to go to now you have that stamp of college softball player on your resume, and everyone that you play in high school kind of knows, hey, this girl's going to Georgia Tech. It's a big deal. You're going to a Power 5 school. What was that like for you the rest of your high school journey with that on your back?
Yeah, I felt a lot of pride being able to say I was going to Tech, not just because of softball, obviously, but because I was excited to go to school there. It's really awesome. But I think when everyone commits, there's kind of a sense of relief. Like, okay, I've made that next commitment, that next step. Now I can kind of relax So once you get there, there's a lot of growth that happens. You start thinking about, well, how am I going to prepare to go to the next level? So while it's a relief in a sense, it's almost like, okay, now the real grind begins, because when I get to campus, I want to start, or I want to, make my teammates better. I want to make an impact on the program. So that's an interesting transition from being recruited to now committing and, trying to build off that.
Up here, when an athlete makes a decision to go to a big school like a Tech, or we have Penn State right now, these big Division I, Power 5 schools, all of a sudden all the lights in the area turn on. And it's like everyone wants to talk about that athlete. Don't know if it was exactly the same in your community, but if it was, what was that like to all of a sudden be a player that a lot of people were talking about? You get, interviews, you get the news articles because, hey, this person in our little community picked up and went to a big Power 5 school. I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I think I loved, maybe getting that recognition because you have worked hard to commit to the school you're going to. So it feels good to, be recognized for that. But it's also, once you get to campus, everyone was in your shoes. They also were committed. They also were hometown heroes. So, you got to keep a level head and make sure that you're just sticking to your grind and your process and, just enjoy it, but don't let it get too big.
I like that hometown hero phrase that you just pulled. Being a hometown hero, though, while you're in it, did that ever put extra pressure on you to go out and almost, quote unquote, prove that you deserve that commitment to the people that were maybe outside your community, but you played and you heard them talk? And did they ever, give you the sense like, okay, I got to go prove that I belong at a Tech, or did you just not let that even sink into your head?
Yeah, sometimes it would. And then you would get on the big stages of your high school ball career and sorry. And being from Georgia, something I always thought was kind of fun or funny is that I was committed to Tech, but a lot of the girls in high school ball that I was playing against were maybe going to UGA. So it's like, okay, I need to prove that this is where you want to be.
Right.
So that was fun. I think as long as you just embrace that and you already know what you're capable of, you already have that confidence. You don't have to prove anything, but you can enjoy kind of letting them know that you're good. So I like that.
I want to know about the sacrifices. Not enough people understand what it takes to get to where you got. They just see you on TV. They see you playing for Georgia Tech, hitting a home run. And they think, wow, geez, that's good. But like the sacrifices that you had to make, especially at the high school level and that age, to get yourself to that point. Talk about some of the things that you kind of just sacrificed, or some of the work that you put in to get yourself to that point.
Yeah, I think it gets a little frustrating sometimes at points whenever you see your friends enjoying the weekend activities they should be enjoying or stuff like that, or when after school people are going to hang out and you have to go practice or put in your work. But I think if you think about it less as a sacrifice and more as gratitude for getting to show up and doing something you really enjoy and knowing that you're putting in work for yourself that in the long run could get you on TV or could get you making an impact in your program and things like that. If you try and shift your mindset a little bit, that may help. But I totally understand, all my friends in high school are going to the lake on the weekends and I had to go to my 10 a.m. Saturday East Cobb practice that was going to last 4 hours and all of that kind of thing. But also just knowing how lucky you are to be getting to do it. And that definitely will help.
Some athletes are built for that extra work, and some athletes have to push themselves to get there. What side of the fence were you on, especially back then? Were you excited to go to 4-hour practices? Were you in it because you knew this was your dream, or were you like just pushing yourself to do it because you knew it had to be done?
I think I was a little bit more, I've had to be pushed to do it, honestly, especially because I committed so young that all the 3 years of my high school left were just waiting to get to college. And I'm like, well, I'm having a hard time finding motivation to go do this because I already committed to my school and I already know my next steps. So finding that motivation to be where you want to be when you get to school was like a big deal for me. But yeah, I was definitely someone that had to be pushed to go to the 4-hour practice. I'm like, oh, I see all my friends hanging out. I want to go over there. But it's worth it. It's worth it.
What was that motivation you found? When you found it, what was it? What was the thing driving you?
I think it was my conversations, like maybe with coach before I got there, conversations with Jen Soleo, who was also in my grade and from a local high school as well. I saw her putting in the work, and I was like, well, if Jen's going to put in the work, I'm going to put in the work, and we're going to go in and make an impact. So kind of having, relationships built prior to going to school, and then knowing kind of what the goal was when I got there.
When you think about signing day and actually putting on paper that you are going to play in college, you are going to be a college softball player, what was that moment like when it turns from commitment, it's there, but it's not reality yet, to signing on the dotted line like you are going to be, playing at Georgia Tech?
Yeah, that is such a special day. It's a special experience. You get to do it, with all your family and friends, and definitely just focus on how exciting it is and what a good time it is. Yeah, and I think it's just like a relief. Like, you put in all that work, now you get to sign the dotted line and know where you're headed. So,
what was your welcome to D1 softball moment like? Culture shock, maybe you didn't expect it was going to be like this. What was that moment for you?
I think the amount of hours at the field every day was maybe a shock. I'm like, dang, we're going to be here for 4-hour practice and then an hour of recovery and all that stuff. So I think I also came in freshman year during COVID. So it was, you were seeing the inside of the dorm and the inside of the practice facility, like no classrooms, no anything other than that. So that was kind of difficult for me because I always kind of had the social life also, and then the softball balance. So that was a big shock for me, trying to find ways to balance, the pressure and the stakes of college softball along with that rigorous schedule. But there was a pandemic, so that was a shock.
When did it when did it click into place for you? Like, when did it become comfortable to be a Division I softball athlete, do you think, for you?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe never. But, I don't know when it really clicked. I would say I just got more comfortable as time went on with maybe my role on the team and, where I was. I think my freshman year was really tough, and I never really felt like, I honestly felt like maybe this isn't for me afterwards. And then I played in the summer league in Sarasota after my freshman year. And I was like, you know what? You love it. Like, you just came down here, had a great summer. You love it. Like, go back, try again. And then my sophomore year was the year we made regionals and had an amazing year. And so I'm so glad, like, even through the tough drought, I thought my freshman year, that I stuck with it and just,
when you're going through those tough times and you're thinking in mind, maybe this isn't for me, I'm sure there were a lot of tough conversations that you either had with yourself, your support system, your family, your coaches. What were some of the things that were said to you that kind of kept you on track or kept you, in it and didn't make you just say this isn't for me and put down the softball bat?
Yeah, definitely people around me just reminding me comparison is just a thief of joy. Like, where you are now is where you're supposed to be, and it may not be the numbers you want, it may not be performance you thought you were going to have, but later on down the road, you're going to look back and say, like, okay, I was meant to be in that position. I needed to go through those hardships, and it'll pay off in the long run. And just trusting that, one bad game, maybe even for me, one tough season isn't going to make or break your career, and just riding it out.
It felt like sophomore and junior season you were building to something, and then senior season it just popped off. We know the numbers you put up. You were one of the top home run hitters in the whole country, one of the top home run hitters in the ACC. You put up all these, everything kind of clicked, and it's not like it wasn't happening sophomore and junior year, but it just like it exploded to senior year. Mm-hmm. What was that like for you going through that and seeing the results pay off?
Yeah, I felt very grateful because not everyone gets the opportunities that I had, and luckily enough, coach saw that potential in me. So I felt very grateful that I was still in the position to get to pop off or whatever. And then I also just felt really grateful that I had two great hitting coaches, Coach Hunter and Coach Kelsey, that believed in me and helped me find that inner confidence and just worked with me endlessly to get it where it needed to be. So yeah, like I said, those hardships, and when I thought I was doing horrible, it was all building to something, and just seeing it through was the biggest thing.
We know that you aren't defined by your results. You're not defined by your numbers as a player. And I'm sure getting to your senior year in college, you have to be able to believe that, because you don't go through a college season depending on results to give you your self-value, and then you make it to your senior season. In my opinion, I feel like you would wash out if you were of that mindset before your senior season even got there. So that being said, when you got the results, was it more like this gravy on the cake because you weren't looking for the results to place value on yourself as a player and as a person, or did it just really improve your mental health and mentality that you were getting results?
I think it does, because it does help you when you are getting results, when you're seeing progress. And I don't know if I would have realized how much it would do that without going through the negatives and no results and things I had went through, to see that when things are working out in your favor and you are hitting a home run and all this stuff, how much it will help you. But it took a lot of building self-confidence, knowing what I knew, not getting results, to understand that. And yeah, it's just, obviously you're going to be a lot happier when you're getting the home run, when you're getting the results, but it's not something to focus on. Something to focus on can be your teammates' results and being happy for them. Like when I would go 0 for 3 this season, something that would lift me up is like seeing a pinch hitter come in and be successful. And then I'm not thinking about me being 0 for 3 in my 4th at bat. I can think about the other things that other people are doing to be happy. So there's definitely a balance of wanting to do well, but not letting it define you, not letting it bring you down completely.
So you end your senior season, and don't want to bring up scars, but we didn't get into the postseason like we wanted to. That's just the reality. How did you kind of come to terms with that, with all the results and all the good things that happened, but still, I know how bad you wanted to go out in your senior season with a postseason berth. It didn't happen, and you have to just kind of cope with that. What kind of things did you do to kind of try to accept it, and then try to still say, I did all I could for Tech for 4 years?
I think I still talk to a lot of my teammates every day, so it doesn't feel like a hard cutoff end all be all. Like I still have a lot of amazing things coming from my time, and then I always can look back and just remember and relish in those memories. So it was a very, sad ending, because I felt the team had so much potential to get there. Just a few things didn't go our way, but that is a really hard thing to deal with. But it's failure, and it's part of the sport, and there are things to be happy about and there are things to be sad about. But in the end, like the relationships I made and the memories I had made it so much easier to leave, knowing that I made my good mark.
When you think about the mark that you did leave on Georgia Tech, if we asked maybe a player next 2 years what it was like to be Mallory's teammate and the impact that you left on them, what do you kind of hope their answer would be? What do you think you left on the people that are still there and are going to be working towards great things in the next couple of years?
I would hope that they thought I was still supportive of them even on my hard days. I think that's what really sets apart a good teammate, is if you're not having a good day and you're failing, how can you pick up others and how can you still be there? That's, what makes a team amazing. I hope they would think that their time around me was something positive and no negativity. So I think overall the program, I was lucky enough to leave with seniors who we're on that same page. We love softball, but we love our teammates more. So that was more of a priority for us. And I hope that the program is just left brighter because of that, you know.
What's next? We know that you love softball so much that it's not going to go away from your life, and you're going to find ways to impact the game without your playing career. So what is next? What's on the horizon for Mallory Black?
I don't think I can fully answer that. I hope to stay involved in the game. I do love it. I would love to help grow the game in any way possible. I just moved to Durham, so I'm in the Triangle area. So hopefully I can maybe help a team here that needs me. You know, so I don't know. We'll see.
I like it. You have to let us know when that happens.
Yeah.
When you can,
Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger. One of the things that I want to kind of go full circle on and do before the end of this interview, what are some things that you miss the most about the early days of your high school career and playing in a simpler time, I guess you could say? What are some things that you miss the most about it?
Oh, I miss so much about that. I miss how fun it was to represent a community and how nice it was that knowing that my teachers knew I was a player, my classmates cheered us all on. I just miss that camaraderie and that hometown feeling. So, yeah.
And then for our athletes that are about to go on a campus or maybe in a couple of years go on a campus, what is one thing that maybe you wish you knew when you were stepping on campus that you know now that you could share kind of words of wisdom as they're about to start their college softball career?
I would say it's a marathon, not a sprint. So trust in the process, get to know everyone you can around you in your program, but just remember that you're not defined by your freshman year outcomes, your sophomore year, or your junior year. It can all turn around. Just trust the process and keep working hard.
One of the things we do with our interviews, whether it be with high school, little league, you in college, we want to give the athlete the chance to take the spotlight off themselves for a minute and thank all the people that got them to where they are and the shout outs that we know people in their life deserve. So I want to give you the time to kind of list the people that you want to thank and the people that you want to shout out that they got you to where you are now.
Oh, wow. There are so many. Obviously, my coaches from my East Cobb Bullets organization, thank you so much. My high school coaches, you made it so fun. Thank you. And then Coach Morales, amazing coach, wonderful. And Coach Hunter, Coach Kelsey, Coach Aaron, Coach Devin, all my Georgia Tech people, I love you so much. And obviously my family, I have so many amazing memories at the ball field with all of them. I'm going to miss it so much, but I'm so thankful for opportunities you gave me and just everyone who supported us. Yeah, especially you, Anthony. Thank you.
You got it, Mallory. You know that anything you need from me, you got it. Thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. Good luck in whatever you're doing in the future. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And we'll see you again real soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Mallory Black, one of the nation's best home run hitters, 19 home runs this year, 60-plus RBIs. And what a great interview that was, talking about how she just kind of trusted the process. Georgia Tech, their coaching staff always preaches process over results. And not saying that Mallory did not have good results her sophomore and junior and freshman year, but they weren't the eye-popping results that we saw her come up with her senior year, where she literally came out and was one of the best power threats, not just in the ACC, but also in the country. 15th in the country in home runs with 19 on the year, 60-plus RBIs. That was good enough to get her a bunch of postseason accolades. But what a great time and a great interview. And thank her for her time, giving it to us and giving it to you guys. The whole point of these interviews was not so I can talk to these players that I've talked to before. It is to share their journey with you guys, the softball players on the Ysn family, so you can learn from people that have made it to where you want to be. And Mallory is just one of those people that definitely made it, definitely made it. And I can't wait to see what she does in the future. One of my good friends, and We always love some Mallory Black, right? Bet on Black 100% of the time. Always, always, always. So that'll do it for today's episode of Running Point. I want to thank everyone for tuning in so much today. I want to remind everybody that we have baseball and softball on the network tonight. ysnlive.com/live. We have Little League Softball. The start of the state tournament, we'll have the 12U covered tonight, and then 10U and 12U will be blanketed covered for the rest of the weekend as well. DJ Oakley will be down there tonight for the 12Us at 5 and 7 o'clock. We also have NABF Baseball, the 14U, the sophomore group. Matt Moore and Tim Corso will have you covered for those. Scene 3 will also be covered, but video only. So all of that can be found at ysnlive.com/live. Make sure to check it out. Check out some games tonight. We'll be off tomorrow on Running Point, but we'll be right back on Running Point on Monday from 1 to 2 to start another week and recap the weekend action. And we'll be talking about hopefully 2 teams locally in state championships for Little League Softball, because that'll be the day. Monday will be the championship, the start of the championships for both 12U and 10U. So we'll be back then to talk about it, and we'll have a lot of fun. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, we'll be back on Monday from 1 to 2. Anthony Hartwig signing off. Running Point brought to you by